Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? See my screens all right? This is Michael with Back to the Future Trading. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. Roger that, 5x5. Jerry, good to see you. Welcome, good afternoon. My name is Michael. Apologies in advance for any coughing you may hear and or sniffles or nose blowing. Whatever's going around now, I think I picked that up too. And grateful to be alive here today, be here with you. I am the big kahuna, the big cheese here at backtothefuturetrading.com. And I'm so honored that you'll spend the time that you have allotted this afternoon with me, where we explore the fantastical world of predictive trading technology. We live in a very unique crossroads right now, where the power of the average trading computer coupled with the availability of historical data in tandem with the speed of most internet connections allows you, should you decide to turn a 12,000 line code algorithm loose on every market you're trading and analyze those markets for behavioral patterns, times where markets are likely to go up or down in the future. And that's why we named our company Back to the Future Trading.com. We understood that if we looked and believed that those patterns were there, we could find them, travel back into the historical data, and project those times forward into the future. So there's a couple weird things that you'll see during this webinar. We're the only company that provides the times the markets are supposed to move or are likely to move in the future in advance. And many of you who are not customers, every week you get a copy of this link. I'll put it in the GoToWebinar chat box so you have a copy of it right here. And we offer these times to prove to you that what we're saying is likely to happen may in fact actually happen. So Thursday today we had the times for the Emini S&P, crude futures, gold, the NASDAQ, the DAX, the euro currency, the YM, the pound dollar, and so on and so forth. And so we're going to take a look today at what happened at those times. In addition to that, on that same web page, we provided a very simple rules-based trading strategy where when those times arrived in the future, we would know exactly what to do when those times in fact arrived. And we're going to go over a few examples today of that trading system and explain to you how, if you're not currently using a rules-based methodology in your trading, we can provide one to you as a backbone or a framework for a very simple trading plan. At the end of the webinar, I'm going to ask everyone a very simple question. Did the times we published in advance using the same algorithm that over 2,000-3,000 customers have had access to, did those times and directions actually move the way they were expected? And you ladies are going to grade whether or not the software is performing as advertised. So without further ado, let's just kind of get into it. And we'll take a look. Hey, Nick rather. Fundamentally, we believe trading is about the future, but there are people who trade as though it is about the past. They're looking to the left of the chart. They're looking at things like volume and order flow and resistance levels, and they're looking at news sites and forums and believing what they've been told by vendors and friends and other traders, that the key to trading is getting as much information as you can on your plate, loading it as high as you can pile it, looking at oscillators and candle patterns and learning as much as you can. And then one day you're going to have this click moment where it all comes together. We don't believe that. In fact, our personal experience bears out the opposite. Most, if not nearly all traders who set out to play this game will lose, and lose more in some cases than they had when they started. Trading is about an estimate in the future. Where will the market be 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day from now? And if you're looking backwards, if you're living in the past with your analyses, unfortunately, it won't be hard to guess what your results will be. Let's get right into it. Every week for the last, I don't know, almost 10 months now, we've been analyzing large time frame equities and cryptocurrencies and indices, all the way down to the smallest of scalping time frames, 1 and 3 and 5 minute time frames for same. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to review with you a few of those larger time frame swing opportunities that we look at. So if you're an options trader, or you're holding trades for several days or more, weeks even, the opportunity to analyze those instruments with the Tachyon Warp program are nearly limitless. And so recently in the news, Mr. Musk with his funky haircut and his 14 children, we have a history of what was expected, projected by the histogram on the bottom, as opposed to what actually happened. So, for example, on the 3rd of January, we're looking for selling pressure. And on the 10th of December, we were looking for buying pressure. And all of the times to the left of the dotted white line were a behavior pattern the software had sniffed out and projected forward into the future. You see, if I scroll over to the right, these times, which never change, never repaint, disappear, reappear, are telling us, warning us, when institutions are likely to push this instrument up or down in the future. And so if you are a trend trader, one of the things that we recommend, and we'll get into this in more detail in a few moments, is to pay closest attention to the signals in the direction of the trend. So in this case, we're referencing 120 period exponential moving average, and these are the signals that go back to August of this year. And so this chart kind of warns us, hey, there's a window opening where banks, institutions, hedge funds are likely to push the price of Tesla higher for a time, for a window of time. So first thing to remember, Tachyon Warp analyzes the historical patterns of the institutions and projects a window of time forward into the future that we can use to either trade in the direction of the trend or take those same signals and try to pick tops and bottoms, which is, albeit more challenging, still nonetheless possible. And so we can see here the windows that have been available to us since August. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Tesla and what's going on with it, because I think there's something very important here that translates well over to the other instruments we'll be analyzing here today. For example, if we take a look, we'll see from the 29th until the close of the 3rd, there's a $63 move in Tesla. From the open of the 20th until the close of the 9th, there's a $73 move. From the 8th until the 21st of October, there's another $72 move, and then from the close of the 26th until the close of the 9th is a $137 move. The next move here, when the banks were expected to push the price higher, is really very interesting to me. And this is a concept that I want to share with those of you who are existing customers. And it bears noting on this chart that there's a story occurring. If we take a look at each of the moves, you'll see $63, $73, $73, $138 approximately. And then right here, it's as though someone poured water on the fire. It's as though someone said, enough is enough, we're done. And in terms of a time narrative, as we see the values sort of moving forward in time, there's a maximum in the push, and then the price starts to diminish. At the time, they had every opportunity to push higher. And in this case, Chris, they didn't. They finished lower. When you see that happening, when you first start to see signals in the direction of the trend between the buying and the selling, or the selling and the buying weakening inside of that window, it can tell you, it can warn you or alert you to the fact that the institutions are no longer interested in pushing that price higher. As we scroll forward to the right, you'll see that the closing price on the 10th of December was in fact somewhere around the $1,000 range, 1,000, just on the high side of it here. And you'll notice that we've been below it and below it, and sort of consolidating now inside of this range. Those of you in my force room will know and recognize this pattern as what I call a pipe bomb. It's a congestion area. And if we go back and look at charts that tell us about price action, let me show you one right here. This chart right here in relation to what's taking place in Tesla lets us know with the time signals what's happening. So in this case, we do see the lower peak at the top of the distribution phase, and then a push down. So this green dot right now is this green dot, a push back into here, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the next green signal where it's moving back and forth, which is known as a redistribution phase. So as people are pushing up and higher, institutions are selling at the top of the range. People who believe the trend will continue are buying at the bottom. But this is stereotypical of a trend reversal and warns me, based on the timing signals, that Tesla is not in fact in a rally right now. In fact, the next down move is projected to be on the 3rd of January. Let's take a look at some other popular instruments. We noticed a large influx of inquiries on the website for Forex pairs lately, and I wanted to introduce you to the daily chart for the Euro US dollar. And here you'll see, again, but in a different direction, the principle of trading in the direction of the trend. So in this instance, we're always asked, well, what are your stops and targets? Again, just to bear in mind, we have the future signals on the right-hand side of the chart, alerting us to opportunities in the future and trades that are likely to occur. On the left-hand side of the chart, we see the signals that have already taken place. Again, there's no repainting, disappearing, reappearing. Everything you see on the bottom and what happened at the top was what happened at that time. So as we look into the code of the software and we familiarize ourselves with the parameters, you'll notice that I'm using a stop that is flexible. In this case, I've chosen a 1.5 ATR multiple. 1.5 values of the daily ATR, average true range, of the euro US dollar. And if we come back to the page that I published earlier in the week, you'll actually see that we said this was, in fact, the value of the stop that we would be using in the demonstration of the webinar. And so here, I'll be using a 1.5 ATR volatility stop when we demonstrate the setup at the webinar. What that essentially means is this: at the close of the candle right here in June, our stop is 1.5 ATR values, or 1.5 average bars away from that candle. We enter on the close of that candle with our stop above the blue line, and we exit at the next counter trend signal 170 pips later. On the 2nd of August, we enter at the close of the candle with our stop above the blue line, and we exit by the close of the next window 118 pips later. On the 6th of September, we're again short until the 23rd for 134 pips, and then a very small window here, just one day, for only 22 pips on that signal. We then see on the 7th a losing trade, where by the time we get to the next signal, we're out of profit by 34 pips. The last signal right here has given us a maximum favorable excursion of 253 pips, and we're presently 100 pips in the potential theoretical profit on the euro US dollar. So on a daily time frame, we see the ability to project these large moves and have a real understanding of what those windows of time are likely to be. How long do I have for this opportunity to work? Will institutions push the way they have in the past, again, when we arrive at that signal? Okay. One of the other markets that we're seeing a large interest in right now includes cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin and Ethereum. You'll be happy to know, using our Coinbase data feed on NinjaTrader, we're able to analyze and see, in fact, those same types of moves that we've seen now in the euro US dollar and other markets. So interesting to note when we look at this market again in relation to that, as well as what we saw with Tesla, that stereotypical consolidation pattern, what I call a pipe bomb, this compression where pressure is building up in here, is very reminiscent of what took place in the redistribution phase. And so down here we see that breakdown lower and lower and lower and lower. If Bitcoin is going to go higher, today was the last day of that window, and we would expect to see a minor push up at the very least, or more consolidation with tests of the low until the 3rd of January. Moving over to the Ethereum chart, we'll blow that up. Again, just helping you understand the ability of this software to use whatever instruments you're interested in analyzing. The software doesn't discriminate. So you can, and many traders do, start out trading one thing and end up looking at a completely different market, or they see an opportunity, hear about an opportunity, and because of a bad decision with the software they purchased in the past, aren't able to use it. So Warp is able to, much like a virtual Swiss Army knife, move and flex with you. So here with Ethereum, we'll just follow that same prescription. We'll see from here to here, there's a $920 move. From here to here, we get to a break-even condition. And so I'm going to basically call that a zero move, if I can get that a little bit lower, somewhere in that area. Then we get to the 17th, and the window of time goes up $600 and $851. And then the last move up here was $377. The next move on the 14th of Ethereum has a maximum favorable excursion so far of $226. And that window of time is expected to last until the 10th of January. And here we see an actual cluster of times indicating the potential for chop on the daily time frame. Moving on, past crypto, back into the equities. One of the charts that I put together was Ford. Ford in the news lately with electrifying its vehicles and the recent introduction of models like the Bronco Sport, many back orders and pre-orders in the hopper. We can see that the signals with trend where options traders would be likely to place calls, for example, was ranged from September 16th until the 27th, and then from October 7th until November 8th, a $5 move. The next signal on the close of the third has had a maximum favorable excursion of $2 and presently resides $1.33. That window expected to last until the 3rd of January. And then last but not least, we already took a look at Tesla. So Tesla in comparison to Ford, much different picture. One in a distribution phase, the other in an obvious accumulation phase or uptrend. So Tachyon Warp has the ability to go all the way out to daily and weekly time frames and projects the times that are likely to produce moves in the future. Now, a lot of people, when I meet with them on the phone, say, Michael, that's impossible. Banks don't repeat the things they've done in the past. Well, you've seen a few examples here on the largest of time frames where that just isn't the case. And I want to encourage those of you who are looking at this sort of skeptically, either on a YouTube video later on down the line or here tonight, that your assumptions about the market are generally wrong most of the time. And we project how we think things should go. We project what we believe markets are. And that bias, if you will, can override the truth of what's really happening. And the truth is this: banks like JP Morgan, the largest investment bank in the world, are getting away with murder. JP Morgan fines. And you'll see that there are actually websites that track and keep a written record of how often firms like JP Morgan are getting caught with their fingers in the cookie jar. Securities abuses, investor protection violation, mortgage abuses, banking violation, anti-money laundering deficiencies, consumer protection related offenses. Financial offenses is when they get caught rigging the market, when they know what they're going to do in the future and they enact a plan. And so the assumption that markets are not coordinated and rigged, it's simply false. In my 12, 13 years of doing these webinars and teaching this tool, I can tell you that markets are in fact predictable. Three men who existed a long time ago, Elliott of Elliott Wave fame, who believed markets were predictable via structure, Wyckoff of volume analyses, infamy, also believed markets were always telling you what was going to happen next. Began sort of their contemporary, and I believe the wiser of the three, was very clear about what he believed was the key ingredient. He said time was the most important factor of all. And so if we kind of work our way down, he gives us the formula. Study the time cycles, study the time periods, and you will learn why tops and bottoms are found at certain times. Study the past records of the markets you trade, and you will be able to prove for yourself that history does repeat. And by knowing the past, you can tell the future. He gives us the Colonel's secret recipe. He tells us what he did and how he did it. So our software was very capable in its ability to study those movements in the past. So, for example, on Thursday today, someone asked if we could look at the Dow. As we scroll down, you'll see for Thursday, well, on the Dow, we had projected the 3-minute time frames. The movements here are simply warning us since Tuesday night what to look for. Well, what was this histogram attempting to communicate via the 12,000 lines of code we turned loose on the Dow? It was warning us that all of the times on the bottom of the histogram were expected to be buying pressure times. Okay? All of the times on the top of the histogram were future selling pressure times. So these were times in the future that if banks returned to the scene of the crime and did what they've done in the past lately, we could expect to jump inside that window of selling. So when we come back and we look at what took place on the Dow today, we shouldn't see any kind of movements at these times, right? We shouldn't see the market going up and down at any of the times that the software had warned us about for the Dow. I'm going to focus predominantly on the US session here today. And I just for a moment want to bring your attention to the signals where the thing we were expecting to happen actually took place. That is to say, when a selling pressure signal arrived, we saw it go down. When a selling pressure signal arrived, we saw it go down. And then when a buying pressure signal arrived, we saw it go up. And so I want you to see here as we look from left to right that there's some peculiar junk going on this chart. And where you see my arrows are the times where all of us can agree the thing we were expecting actually took place. And where I have X's are the places where the thing we were expecting didn't take place. Sorry, 109 right here. So out of the signals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the signals did not go in the direction we were expecting it to. So 14 out of 18 signals on the Dow, approximately 77% of the time, produced a move that we were expecting in the future. Now, that's bananas. This isn't a daily time frame. This is intraday after the FOMC announcement yesterday. And when we look and we see what was expected versus what actually happened, we find out that a majority of the time, an overwhelming majority of the time, everything Gann told us about time cycle theory was true. We were, in fact, able to study the past of the Dow, and then by knowing those past behavior patterns, project those times forward into the future in an email to thousands and thousands of prospective customers. And then 2 days later, after the fact, see that, in fact, banks like JP Morgan and Deutsche and Credit Suisse and all those wonderful people who do so much good for the world, we caught them red-handed most of the time. Okay? In addition to that, we see some other really cool stuff going on I'm going to take a look at CL on the squirreliest of time frames, oil on a 1 minute chart. So let me go ahead and load this up after it calculates. So here's oil. The price of oil up and down, and critical reserves, and Saudis this and Saudis that, and on and so forth. And what I want you to see here is that we begin to overlay not only the times that were sent out to everybody in the future. So here in this instance, you'll see 2 days ago, we sent out this histogram for oil. And all the times that you see on this chart, 1213, 1231, 1213, 1231, all of these times are now on the chart after the fact. And we're involved now in an opportunity to actually look for live signals. Okay, so I'm going to teach you today about 2 kinds of entries, and I'll start with the easiest one and sort of work our way backwards. In the instructions that I sent out on Wednesday, I mentioned 2 kinds of trades: the signals with trends and the punctures. In this case, when we have a signal in the direction of the trend that finally closes above our moving average, we're able to go long. With our stop below the crossover candle and the entry at the close of the candle, we now have that window of time available to us to stay involved in the trade. And so with CL today at this one signal, 1017, and we'll add them all up, we see that there was a trading opportunity. That window is open for $360 per contract. In much the same way, there was a signal with trend at 1003 to the downside. On the close of that candle, we see that the market moved from the low down to here, which is $230 per contract. And it actually finishes by 1017, 8 ticks in the red, which we'll put down below. So signals with trend involve those same windows of time, and we enter and exit with the 1.5 ATR stop. Here's where things get really cool, I think. The next type of trade is called a puncture. When we arrive at a counter trend signal, we're expecting banks to either consolidate in an uptrend or start to what? Move down and push away. This is what 1045 represents. So warning, we're at a pressure time where banks usually push prices lower. But I want to take signals in the direction of what? The trend. And so for me, and this took many years to get around my thick noggin, if I arrive at a selling pressure time and the market keeps going up, it keeps going up, then I know that there's no resistance to my continued participation in the uptrend. In essence, I've rolled all of my tanks onto the battlefield expecting a big fight, and there's nothing out there in the desert but coyotes. So I'm good. And the way that trade was taught in the training video associated with that link I sent out involved entering at the stop line. It's a breakout trade. Your stop then goes 1 tick below the puncture candle, and we hold that trade until the window of time is closed. So from the blue line until the white dot is an additional $240 per contract. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, from the open of this market, 9 o'clock until lunchtime, I'm going to add up all the signals here and just see if the method bore any fruit. So signal with trend, exit 11. Signal with trend, exit -9. Signal with trend, exit -2, signal with trend, stop out. It's now looking pretty good. Signal with trend, we've got it, we've got it, we've got it. New one here, good for 6 ticks. New one here, good for 25 ticks. Puncture, puncture stop out, drag it down below. Signal with trend, exit at the window closure. Signal with trend, small loss, and that brings us into lunchtime. So if the system didn't have any merit whatsoever, when I add all of these signals together, it should be really hard for me to continue showing my face in this webinar, right? I should have a hard time showing my face at all. So we have 11 -2 -9 -15 -8 plus 36 plus 24 plus 6 plus 25 plus 28 -6 -4. There's $860 of potential profit. Following what? And here's where it gets bananas. Following times that I sent out 2 days ago, and a moving average, and a trading system that I warned you about before we ever arrived at those prices and those times. Signal with trend, puncture trade, per the video I sent out. Any questions about this? Because we're not only giving you the signals, we're giving you a potential setup to work with as well. Let's take a look at the granddaddy, the Emini S&P, and you'll see here today that, man, it's no secret what was happening. There was capitulation, a sell-off. The Fed said, hey, no more free money. You can't buy back your stock. You can't go out and buy cool stuff for free. And the market said, okay, if you're going to be that way, then we're done. So the market opens at 9:30. We'll go ahead and put a line right there. And we'll see the very next signal, Jerry, is at 9:50. Now, we've known about 9:50 since Tuesday night. It's now Thursday morning. Close of the candle is short. We have a pretty dramatic drop. We keep about half of it by 10:45 for an 11-point move. Next signal with trend is the close until the close at 12:10. That's a $10.50 move. There's a puncture right here at 11:05 through the white line, and it actually only finishes 1.75 points in the green. The next signal, if you trade through lunch, is at 12:35. That window is expected to last until 1:35 for a total of 7.25 points. And here we come precariously close to the stop. 140 gets right up to the line, doesn't go through it, and then we finish 1.75 points in the red. So we're working our way from left to right, and we're exploiting two vulnerabilities in time that were predicted. Signals with trend denoted by the letters SWT. Sounds like an 80s rap band, right? And then the puncture trades. So we'll put a notation here, PUNCT. And I can't spell, but you get the point. Puncture. And now here comes the next puncture. We breach the line right here. It gets a maximum favorable excursion of $28 before it finishes at the end of the window, $14 in the green. And then at 3:20, we have our first stop out. So right here is when the banks say, we are done selling for a negative $14 move. The proof, as they say, is in the pudding, or in this case, the P&L. And when we add it up, 11 plus 1.75 plus 10.5 plus 7 plus 14 minus 14 minus 2. We see at the end of the theoretically predictable day that we're finished with a hypothetical $28 times $50 per lot, or $1,400 per contract, using signals that were available to us since Tuesday night. Tuesday night. Now, I've seen in forums people say you could just pick random times and trade those in the direction of the trend. Can you? Try it. It doesn't work. 12 years, I've done everything I know. And right here is sort of the proof of that pudding. If we come out and we look at the NASDAQ on a 1-minute chart, or some of our customers like to call it the NAS crack, you'll see opportunity after opportunity and know exactly when those selling pressure windows are occurring, exactly when to look for those opportunities in the direction of the trend. And so from here to lunch, all the way to 11:33, and then 11:42 till 11:48, 11:56 until 12:08, just looking at the signals in the direction of the trend today and knowing when banks were likely to push. We have 66 plus 11 plus 0 plus 88 plus 29 plus 1 plus 39 minus 16 minus 24 times $20 per contract is $3,800. We multiply that times 80% for slippage and commission, it's around $3,000 per contract. On the micros, it's a $310 day, just using signals with trend. Now, why is this important? Because when I started, I told you that I would give you the signal in advance. I told you I would show you the setup before we arrived at the time. And now I'm showing you the silver, the shekels. You're rewarded for believing that markets are rigged. You're rewarded for pursuing something that, in our case, our metrics show 90% of people who attend this webinar don't believe. They don't believe it. And yet, all I do here is I show what took place at those times. All I do here every week is sit here and line up what actually took place in reference to those moves. European markets are equally corrupted. Banks are a worldwide enterprise. And so in the DAX, we see that, in fact, those markets were rigged as well. I'm not going to draw arrows. I'm not going to draw a bunch of crazy lines. You can see for yourself with your own eyes what took place. And as we scroll back in time, we see sort of this rock hard evidence of what's been taking place at these times. In an uptrend as well as a downtrend, we have the confidence to know when to look for the moves and in what direction. Uptrend, downtrend, consolidation, range, you can know the times in advance. And again, we're not limited to the Emini S&P or the DAX or those things. This is a 1-minute chart for Ethereum. You can trade Ethereum on a 1 or a 5, and the results are always going to be the same. We know the times in advance where those moves are likely to occur. And we also know the times in the future. Every chart is broken into halves. 12,000 lines of code warning us these are the times to watch for the next moves. 12,000 lines of code telling us what happened when we waited for those times historically. And again, as we move backwards, we have a track record of what took place at those times. We had an understanding of what happened if we were taking trades with the trend. Any questions? Any questions? Intraday for Forex as well. We can see here that no surprise today with the euro dollar. I'll stretch it out and show the US session on the 5-minute chart. Today, 8 o'clock, we were expecting a move where? In the up direction. I'm going to go right to the candle to show you. At 8:30, we were expecting what? A selling pressure signal. At 8:45, we were expecting what? A buying pressure signal. At 9:50, we were expecting a selling pressure signal until 12 o'clock. There's the US morning session. 1:45, we have selling pressure until the close, 3 o'clock into 4 o'clock here. Now, this would be impossible to sell to you if I hadn't already done what? If I hadn't already projected those signals in advance. So these signals are here, and then the future is waiting for us. We have our own invitation printer to the institutional party. All of my life, from as early as I can remember, I have been on the outside. I was never with the cool kids or the pretty girls. I was never with the shop guys or the motorcycle riders. And I realized as I got older, I didn't have to wait for invitations to those things. I was inspired when Billy Joel married Christy Brinkley, quite possibly the ugliest man on the planet. A little short guy from New York married a supermodel, and they asked her, "Why Miss Brinkley? Why Mr. Joel?" And she said, "He talked to me. He made me laugh." We don't have to wait for a written invitation. We don't have to watch volume and tick charts and 495 volume bars and a 62 or a 50 or a 121 fib or blah, 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 blah. Thousands of dollars lost that I paid to gurus and tool makers. I was tired of losing. I made my own machine. Takes you anywhere you want to go in the future. Tells you what the people who abuse us and take the economy, the investors for granted, to task. I know what you're going to do, and when you do it, I'm going to do it too. I know when you're going to push, and when you push, you're going to push my order too. Ethereum, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, euro dollar, euro yen, pound dollar, pound yen, S&P, Emini, SPYs, Qs, Tesla, Ford, Bank of America. I don't care. It's a corrupt game. And if you believe you can win by playing by their rules, don't look at what we're doing. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. You're destined to fail. I know this because I've met so many traders. At this point, it is laughable how many people have tried to go their own way and just, "Michael, I'm going to buy the software. I just have to wait a couple weeks." And then they call me a week later, and Jerry, it's a sad story. "Oh, I was going to buy it, but I took a trade and I got in underwater and I doubled down, and then I doubled down again. I lost $35,000. I lost $20,000. I lost $7,000. Every week, same phone call, same conversation, different face, different name. Same time I get those emails, Jerry. I think your software is too much money. I think it costs too much. Can I have a 9-year trial? Would you take $100? Grinds you down after a while. Grinds you down. This selling spree that we're seeing in the markets right now started on the 8th of December, right here. And I want you to see everybody that's trying to push it higher. Everybody, all the all-time highs, right? These candles right here. And this candle right here. Everyone wants this market to go higher. Jerry, why won't it go higher? Because it's not time. It's not time yet. They're not done selling. How many of you remember Orson Welles? We will sell no wine before it's time. Anyone remember this commercial? We will sell no wine before it's time. I remember. That shows you how old I am. They're not going to go up until it's time. Next signal is when? 17th. 17th, that's tomorrow. If history is any indication, here's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I usually am. There's a low right here. That low is at 45.97.75. And there are stops there. Yum, yum, yum. Smell them. So many delicious stops. Just like there were stops up here that got tripped out today. And all these stops are sitting here just waiting to be taken. Jerry, can you see what happened over here before the 8th, before it went up? All the stops that got run right there before they finally took it up? This is the first place that I see on a daily chart where that's going to take place. And so I'm predicting 45.98 area, 45.95. And that is going to destroy a lot of people's lives. And then the next dance starts. And the thing that we saw take place on the 26th of August and on the 8th of October and on the 15th of November, using my technique that I teach customers here, the 1st of December, all the potential buying pressure times, that same thing is expected to take place on the 17th. Now, why is everything I told you important? Because of that image. I want you to burn that in your brain every day you sit down to trade. Every night when you're preparing your trading plan. Remember that people with trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars, are staying awake tonight and looking at their war plan for tomorrow. Memos have been sent out. Algorithms have been programmed. Phone calls have been made. I met a guy who traded at JP Morgan. He was an intern, young guy. And he said, Michael, I want to tell you, I watched your videos and you're right. I said, what do you mean I'm right? He said, I sat there in the room at JP Morgan and I heard these guys talking to other guys at other banks and they were planning these moves in the future. I said, can I get you to put that on the record? Can I record you like one of those Barbara Walters interviews with the guy in the background and the voice changer? He said, no, I can't do that. I still work in the industry, but you were right. So I get these little glimpses into the nether regions of financial juggernauts, and I'm not going to stop. until everyone knows what's going on. And the only way to win the game, in my humble, somewhat educated opinion, I'm a little long in the tooth with this. The only way to win in trading is to break the same rules that everyone else is breaking. When they move, you move. When they stop, you stop. When they flaunt the SEC and all these regulations, you flaunt it too. Let them push your trade up. Let them push your trade down. Will you win every time? No. Are you going to lose more? No, I don't think so. If, at the very least, you're not going to make the same stupid mistakes most people make, getting in when it goes down, in a long position, getting in when it goes up, in a short position, always in the opposite direction. I would rather you 50, 60, 70+% of the time see your trades move in the green right away. How would your life change? How would you feel Friday, Monday, Tuesday next week if most of the trades you got in, you got to a break-even position and watch the market move green? Kermit said, it's not easy being green, but he didn't have tachyon warp. Now, if you would like the software, there's an awesome opportunity today with our end of year Black Wednesday, Friday, November. There's a lot of black this month for tachyon warp. I'm going to click on the link and put the link in your GoToWebinar chat box. If you can, tell me if that pops up on your side. At the very bottom of that page is a Willy Wonka sized golden ticket that says buy now. Don't worry about this price. It's not the price, not today. Today, Santa comes to your desktop. By the way, if you're interested, everyone who's reviewed our software, and if you haven't reviewed it yet, please take the time. Let me do this. If you are a customer here today, one of the ways that you can help us, if we've offered you any value whatsoever, is to go to the Trustpilot page and leave a note for us to see how you've done and how we've treated you, how the software is working. So far, 64 of you verified customers with receipts that have purchased the software have left results for other people to follow. We have everything from a single 1-star review all the way to 4 and 5 stars from people who have used the program before you. So if you're here today and you found today educational at all, you feel good about, or maybe not good about your experience with us, please leave a review on Trustpilot. It helps other people know what to expect. But if that's important to you, we've been keeping track of that for you. Again, everyone is verified. Everyone has a credit card receipt. None of us have left our own fake reviews on there. These are real people with real trading accounts. You click on the Buy Now link, and this annoying thing pops up. We have a live training room that meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 8 actually to 12, live in the market, signals and setups and descriptions and all sorts of education in a live, real-time environment. If you learn that way and you want somebody in the markets talking, walking you through what you're seeing, explaining what's happening, then there's an opportunity for you to join that class. It's $149 a month if you buy when you get the software. Okay. I think it works out to about $4 an hour. You pay your babysitters more when they watch your kids. If you don't want that, click the blue link and say no. No. This is our purchase agreement. Make sure you know what we're about. We know what you're about. We're going to make sure the software works well for you, update it, keep it in perfect running order. In addition to that, make sure you're using a real computer and not, your grandma's accountant's computer from 1986. It's not going to work. Also, very important, if you have a fiery personality and you like to use all caps in your emails and swear a lot, we're probably not going to be a good fit for you. We have had our associates and service staff threatened and called all sorts of demeaning, sexist names. If in fact that happens, we'll be happy to refund your money and block you from our community. Again, just stuff we want you to know up front so there's no hard feelings if things go south. For today, you're going to receive 2 computer licenses, lifetime updates. You're going to receive free installation. You're also going to have a personalized training session at your convenience, GoToMeeting or Zoom. We're going to log on to your computer and set up all your charts if that's something that you're into. We also have a free video training archive with classes that have been uploaded and made available for people to go back and review, from basic lessons all the way through to pretty advanced stuff. In addition to that, our undying gratitude and a community of traders who are serious about becoming profitable and following their rules day in and day out. We connect people all the time via email and Skype. If that's something you're interested in, that's available as well. Here's the big one. Promo code is BLACKWARP. No spaces, lowercase, every letter, lowercase. Michael, the code didn't work. Did you type it with lowercase? No, that's why. BLACKWARP. BLACKWARP in Cincinnati. Black Warp. Watch. BLACKWARP. If you do that and hit apply, it takes $750 off. What? Yes. From $24.95 to $17.45. Lifetime license, updates included for life, 2 computer licenses, futures, Forex, crypto, equities, bonds, wheat, soybeans, soy meal, everything. 1-minute charts, tick charts, range charts, volume bars, Renko bars, all of it works with Warp. The only thing missing from this equation is your order. BLACKWARP. We want to be your support crew. Between my partner and I, we have over almost 40 years of engineering experience. We only know how to build quality tools. We have some of the best support in the industry. We have people like Brian and Tim, our pro staffers, who trade with the software live in their accounts every day, available to assist you if you have questions. We want to support you. If you're going to trade against these guys, you need a team. You need an army. And we want to be part of that army with you. I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you sitting through my little coughing and choking foibles here today. It's been a very trying year. Things that I couldn't control. Many of you feel out of control like I do, I'm sure. In the past month, there are people who've been shot in my son's high school. Just last week, a gun was brought to the middle school about 1,000 yards from his classroom. My daughter was studying in the student union of her college in Daytona Beach, and police intercepted a young man who'd failed all his classes, who was on his way to where she was studying with a folding semi-automatic and a backpack full of shells, 9mm rounds, and he told his friends that he was going to create another Columbine. It's hard feeling out of control, feeling powerless, and trading exemplifies that. The stresses that it induces of broken homes and marriages, people have lost their jobs, their businesses, their savings and retirement accounts, reduce them to shells of themselves. And many of you, if you're like me, feel that way this year. You can't wait for all of these shenanigans to be over. And yet some of you, like me, suspect this is the dawn of a new time, a new era. The hostility towards one another, the vitriol, the partisanship, the angst and anger. It feels like this is the opening act to a 3-act play. This is one area of your life where you don't have to feel out of control. This is the one thing you can do where you have a modicon of choices and know there's a window of time coming where the people who cheat are likely to cheat again. And when they do, I'm going to cheat with them. That is my wish for you, my goal for you. The end of this year, going into next year, the volatility is here. Now is the time. Not, I'm going to save, I'm going to watch, I'm going to come to 10 more webinars. Now is the time. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your beautiful, handsome faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you, and the mountains lay low before you. I wish you peace, I wish you health, I wish you prosperity, success in all you seek to accomplish. On behalf of everyone here at Back to the Future Trading, nearly 13 years in business, 3,000 customers, I want to thank you for your time, for your participation. I hope that you have experienced both entertainment and enlightenment when you move forward tonight, this morning, this afternoon, in your day, and have a wonderful time. We'll see you all soon. If you need any help, let us know. We'll be here. Otherwise, BLACKWARP, $750 off through the end of the year. Now is the time. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.